When your content flops and nothing is selling, it's often not you or your ideas that are wrong. It's your sales messaging. Selling online isn't easy, and it can feel downright gross to most people when they start a new online business. That's normal. But if you're a creative and unconventional content creator or online business owner, you can learn how to make every piece of content you post a part of your sales process. Today, I'm going to show you how that's possible and give you a surprise sales message example so that you can see what I'm talking about. Welcome to Hexotica, where you are invited to join the inner sanctum of unconventional women and gender diverse creatives intent on crafting self-reliant AF alternative lifestyles of time, location, and financial freedom. I'm your host, Christine Rice, and this is episode 13. So welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I hope you had a lovely week, a lovely weekend. I hope that you did at least one thing toward your big dream, your big goal and aspiration toward a self-reliant AF alternative lifestyle. And if not, that you will hopefully get some inspiration from this podcast to get yourself back on track. It's so important that we stay focused and we do at least one thing every single week toward our big dream. Even if you're working full time, even if you're super busy, do one thing, have at least one thing that moves that progress a little bit further, right? Don't let all the politics that's happening in the world right now, all the wars, all the social media distractions pull you away from your dream. Your dream is the thing that's going to keep you going. It's going to keep you hope inspired. It's going to shape your life for the future. And even though things are sometimes look like an absolute shit show going around in the world, it's still so important to be focused on our futures and to be actively crafting the future that we want. So I had a pretty good weekend. I spent it at a lovely beer garden birthday party with some friends on the very first warm day that we've had here in Melbourne. And then yesterday, Sunday, was our first daylight savings. So we're having longer, warmer days now, which was great. But I did have some business hiccups last week that I just want to share with you because if you are running an online small business, some of the many things that can go wrong that are going to really test you as a business owner, they're going to happen over and over and over again. And it's so important that you know now, if you're just getting started or if you're just looking for success or you're getting going, that you anticipate that sometimes the shit show is going to be right here in our small business. And it's going to be on a personal level, and there's going to be no one that you can talk to about it, no one that can help you with it, and nothing that you can do about it. And for me, last week, it was that the internet went down, as it often does, because as you may know, I'm in a little A-frame cottage in the forest. And so having the Wi-Fi go berserk is a common occurrence. The second downside to living in a forest is the bushfires in the summer, but that's another kettle of fish. And then the other thing that happened to me is that a scheduling software that I relied on and that I had posted an entire year's worth of social media content on had completely wiped clean every single one of my pieces of content. I had spent about 2 days putting all these pieces of content on there. I use a bulk scheduling kind of CVS file type deal to get things going. And it takes a lot of time to put those bulk schedulers together. I used to do this for my clients as a social media manager, and it is a very good thing to do in order to kind of fill a lot of different spots in the future with your content. And they just decided to wipe it all clean because they had a new interface. And then they turned around and said, okay, all our lifetime members, people that bought the lifetime membership, premium, beginner, startup membership, you now have to pay extra to have the same connections that you used to have. And I'm just going to name you because I was very angry at you postly. I will no longer be recommending you. How could you do this? But as a warning to my listeners, And this is the second time this has happened to me. When you invest in these lifetime offers with any software, you might get them on AppSumo, or they might offer them. Startups usually do this in order to get the money to get going, right? Only count on the software for being really useful and really reliable for maybe a year or two, because a couple of things are going to happen. Either the startup is going to go bust, because a lot of them do, and you're not going to have a software anymore, or it's not going to work like it was promised to, or they're going to go bigger and be doing well, and they're going to turn around and they're going to treat their lifetime members like shit. And that's what Postly decided to do. That's what a lot of the software companies do, but not always. Some companies like Dubsado, which I used for many years, grandfathered their founding members in and allowed them to continue having the same access that they were providing their new paying customer. So that was just a side note of some things that happened to me in the past week that really tested my patience, but that were also things that I'm very, very used to dealing with as an online small business owner. And I just want to warn you that those things will happen. And the way to deal with them is to remain calm, know how to keep your nervous system calm, know how to get yourself back into a state of equilibrium and not get too caught up about it, not to get too angry about it. Let it go and move on. I will now be doing all of my social media scheduling on Go High Level, which I had moved to a couple of months before. And they have this amazing social media scheduling. They allow bulk scheduling, and they have a feature there to allow you to contact people who reply or comment on your social media with an automated delivery of your opt-in or lead or whatever it is that you are offering. So when you go to my Instagram account, for example, and you see that I say, comment podcast if you'd like to hear the podcast, it's the bot from Go High Level that will be answering you and delivering that podcast link in the DMs. That way, I have a lot less time. It frees up a lot of time for me. It ensures that every single person is getting something right away as soon as they comment. And it helps to get the links out there and while increasing engagement as well. There's another software that does it called Mini Chat. I will leave the link to both Go High Level and Mini Chat in the show notes if you'd like to look into those. I recommend both of them. They're both fantastic. However, I will no longer be recommending Postly. Postly, you bastards. Anyway, let's go on to today's topic, which is sales messaging. I felt that we need to have a conversation about sales messaging because there is a difference between writing captions, having a great hook, and having a proper sales message strategy. And a lot of my lovely people that I follow on Instagram, on Facebook, and who follow me, the lovely business owners who are in my Facebook group, Marketing for Creative and Unconventional Women and Gender Diverse, they are posting great photos, which is a hook itself. They might be writing good hooks, and they might be writing short captions. But I can see there that there are lots of things missing. And some of these people, if they're wondering, like, why aren't my things selling? Why aren't my services selling? This might be the missing piece that you need to understand what it is in the sales process in content that might be missing from your marketing. So if you want to be able to post about your services and products, but you do not want to piss people off, or you don't want to feel like a pushy, money-grubbing TV megachurch evangelist, then when you polish up your content marketing with a strategic, transformative sales messaging, every post can become a part of the sales process, and you'll never waste any time on social media. This is the beauty of having a strategy. So I started my first online e-commerce business over 20 years ago, and then I worked as a freelance social media manager and content marketer for 9 years, writing social media posts, thousands of social media posts, blogs, and emails for clients, sometimes clients who had 6- and 7-figure online businesses. So out of all that, I've learned in marketing that I can say, hands down, it's your sales messaging that makes the biggest difference when it comes to growing an audience and selling online. No matter what you're selling, from tarot readings, witchy handmade hats, to gothic clothing, or freelance services for other businesses, you need a strong sales messaging strategy to sell online. Having one can mean you can stop just daydreaming about quitting your job or becoming a digital nomad or buying your own car or home. It's the thing that can make all of that come true. Okay? And how do I know? Because it did it for me. And it's still cracking open bigger and bigger goals for me the better I get at it. So let's get started. Selling online can feel hard as fuck, but you have to do it. If you want your online business to give you time, location, and financial freedom, you've got to learn how to sell. There's no way around it. Selling is the main skill you'll need behind all the fun product or content creation stuff. You cannot hope people will just decide to buy your products or services because they just like you or what you're selling. I see this all the time with Etsy or online market sellers and e-commerce especially. People will just post the pretty picture of their jewelry or candles and they'll hope that that'll be enough to entice a sell. To sell online, you need to create demand. Creating demand is not just about outlining all the benefits and features of a product or service either. It's not just saying it's this size and you can get it in these colors and it costs this much. That's not it. It's about creating a perception. For example, the perception of urgency. Limited time something is available. Limited number of something being available. Or perhaps the perception of rarity. Give your handmade creations a fascinating story, for example, like how many hours it took you to create it or how hard it was to source the materials to make it. And you also need to be creating the perception of genuine relatability, connection, authenticity, and expertise. So it's not just about creating value, which is the most vague and crude way to describe what you've really got to do when it comes to content marketing. So when we talk about sales messaging, what we're really getting at is your ability to craft an entire ecosystem of content that helps create demand by creating multiple perceptions of value to your audience. For example, one social media post that shows you with your husband and dogs at a dog park can be a part of your overall sales strategy because it shows you as a down-to-earth, relatable person. And this helps create a connection. And connection helps you sell. Every new piece of content can sell, and it should. When you define your sales messaging strategy, every piece of content has a job. So your sales strategy is not just about direct selling. It's about understanding how there are multiple sales jobs within different types of content. Then you create an overall strategy that ensures all those multiple jobs are getting done on a regular basis. You can consistently sell every single day within every post that you make if you fulfill all of these jobs. Will some people still complain that you're trying to sell something? Yes, absolutely, 100%. There are some people who honestly think that you should be doing all that content creation work for free just for them because they feel entitled to never be sold to. And those are the people that you just have to ignore. Not bargain with, not plead, not negotiate with, ignore. There's nothing you can do about them, but you do not need those people. Is having 10K followers your dream? Or is it making enough to buy a house? Followers are never going to help you buy a home or help you quit your job, right? But buyers will. And you don't need 10K followers to buy the house. You may need only 1,000 avid buyers, or 100, depending on the price of the thing that you're selling. So when you have magnetic, juicy as fuck sales messaging, people want to buy from you. So let me break down what I mean here. Okay, so copywriting versus sales messaging. What's the difference? Copywriting is the craft of writing. It's the words themselves, the art and science of writing text that grabs attention, builds desire, and gets someone to take a specific action. So think the email that you write, the headline on your sales page, the caption under your Instagram post. Copywriting equals the execution. It's how you deliver your message through words that sell, persuade, and connect. Think structure, flow, tone, and psychology. Where you use formulas like AIDA, AIDA, or PAS, pass, emotion, story, and rhythm to pull people in. Now, sales messaging is the strategy behind the craft. It's the core idea that runs through all your copy, the entire ecosystem. The invisible magic thread that ties your emails, your posts, and your offers all together. Sales messaging answers questions like, what do you stand for and against? Who are you speaking to? And what do they secretly want? Why should they buy from you and not someone else? What transformation are you promising? And what emotional triggers move your ideal buyer? Think of it as your brand's spell book for persuasion. It guides everything you write, say, and sell. When you're just writing copy following formulas, you might have occasional posts that just hit, right? For example, you might write a great hook that makes a post go viral. But when you have on-point sales messaging, you have people coming back into your world in anticipation of your next piece of content, no matter what it is. People are hitting follow or subscribe. They're sticking around. They're waiting for more from you. And the reason why? Because you've tapped into something deeper and more profound than just an interesting emotional trigger. You're providing an ongoing dialogue around their secret desires, their big dreams, or their big fat pains in the asses. And this is where transformational sales messaging begins. Messaging that helps transform your reader. This is what my Swan Transformation Marketing Strategy Academy mentoring program is all about. It's a bit of a long word. I just say Swan Academy for short, but it's Swan Transformation Marketing Strategy, which is the guiding principle of all of my programs. And the Academy is the beginner's one, the 4-week beginners SEO-based content marketing strategy and mentoring program. And it's exactly what's at the core of how I can help you if you think this is the missing piece that you believe you've been missing in your content marketing. All right, so I said a little bit earlier that I was going to give you a sales message example. And this might get a little bit meta now, but you are listening to the example. If you listen back to how this podcast was written, how I wrote it out on the blog, you will see a persuasive sales message at play. At the start, I called out your pain. You're posting online, but nothing's happening. You're not selling. Then I preempted your objections. Do I have to sell in every post? Yes. Is this even a good idea? Absolutely yes. What if people hate on me? So what? From there, I showed you how making these changes and how you're showing up online is consistent with how you see yourself. You're an online creator or business. You need and want to make money. And this is what people like you do to make that happen. People like you. Next, I showed you the solution to all of your woes. It's copywriting and a sales messaging strategy. This is what you need, yo. And finally, I presented to you my solution. This is exactly what the Swan Academy is all about. I teach you how to create a cohesive content marketing strategy that'll help you grow an audience and sell your stuff online. Voila. So you see, sales messaging can be well applied formulas to an overall strategy. There are also many other things happening here. I have an overall audience that I am speaking to, a very specific audience, an overall kind of story, create an alternative, self-reliant as fuck lifestyle. And there is a progression with how I have taken you from not knowing anything about copywriting or sales messaging to hopefully being convinced that this is what you need, right? So it's a formula done with finesse within a larger strategy for your brand. A gentle river of words that helps persuade readers or listeners to make a decision toward buying what you're selling, or at least being convinced that maybe they need to look into it. And it's doing it all without being pushy, which I define as trying to sell you something you are not interested in, something you may not understand or know that you even need. Persuasion skills help you develop the skills to show people that they need something that they may not even have ever heard of or have ever been interested in, right? Like, were you at all interested in copywriting or sales messaging before you read this post? Had you ever looked anything up on it? Maybe you had, but maybe you hadn't thought that you needed it as much, right? So maybe a little, perhaps, but now I'm betting you are convinced that you need to learn this, right? That's sales messaging in action. I don't have to be slimy or pushy at all. All I have to do is share with you some new and useful information in just the right way to help you clearly see the value in it and in what I sell. Voila! Word witchcraft. All right, so let's review what we've talked about here today. In short, sales messaging is your core message, your positioning, and your strategy. Copywriting is the words that you use to express that strategy. Without sales messaging, your copy is like a spell with no intention behind it. Your message just never gets out of your head and into someone's heart or their wallet. But with a defined sales message strategy, you can start selling. You can start gaining an audience. You can start saving money to buy a house. You can start planning that trip to Paris that you've always been dreaming about, or becoming a digital nomad. A transformational marketing strategy is the key, and that's what I can help you get. So you can sign up for my free Swan Transformation Marketing Strategy Guidebook to help you get started. This is a free printable 30-page guidebook with all the things that you need to do to start and grow an online business in chronological order in checklist form. This is the guidebook that I wish I had had when I first started my online business. It's someone laying it all out like a big map. It's an easy to follow guide that you can take no matter whether you're a complete noob or you've been at it for several years. I'll introduce you to what the Swan strategy is all about, and you'll get on Hexotica's email newsletter, The Inner Sanctum, where you'll get notified of our weekly new blog/podcast/YouTube videos each week. So stop wasting your time online. Learn how to create effective content that sells from the start. You can learn it all on your own, and it may take years, or you can learn it fast from someone who's already been doing this for nearly 2 decades. I can help you avoid wasting time online by building your online business right the first time, because I've already made all the mistakes so that you don't have to. So sign up for that guide at swan.hexotica.link or click the links in the show notes. I'll leave that with the other links that I've mentioned today. So thank you so much for listening or watching. I appreciate that you have been here. And if you have not already, let me know what you think of the podcast by leaving a review on whatever podcast app or on YouTube that you follow. A review on Apple would be really, really helpful. It helps get my message out, and it helps me to have the motivation to keep showing up and creating this content for you. Not that I have lost any motivation. I love doing this. I love helping people like you start your business. So make sure you do something this week or this weekend to grow your dream. I'll check in with you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.